Hello everyone, I'm Colin Kinnett. Today I've got a list of a few suggestions sent in by subscribers of some pretty interesting ideas that we can all use in our workshop. So let's get started. This tip comes from Doug, and Doug has discovered on Amazon somebody has invented a little tool that you can use to quickly accommodate your sanding pads, your circular pads that you use on your random orbital sander, and quickly grab those and use them as a sanding device. It's a handy little item. I'll put a link to that in the article on Woodwork Web. You'll be able to go and check those out. Typically what I do for hand sanding, I get the big sheets and I cut them into little squares, and they're okay. And I use one of these. I don't even know where you can get these. I'll see if I can find these on Amazon. They're a handy little thing, but you see they don't fit sandpaper very nice. But look, I discovered this when I was looking at Doug's note, and you can actually use these on, I think this is a 5-inch orbital pad. Now, several months ago, I made this, and this works okay, but it's a pretty big pad. And for certain things, it's okay, but if you're doing small little areas, these are ideal. So there's some options. You can check the article on Woodwork Web. I'll put links to all of these so you'll be able to see those. This tip was sent in by Tim, and Tim suggests using these trays that you can get from the grocery store. We get food in these things, and rather than throw them in the recycling, what a great place to use them in the workshop. And look, they come in different colors, and I was astounded when I put my nuts and bolts in this black, and look at how they stand out. I'm always taking things apart. I have to redo things, and I'm got bits and pieces around, and I always drop stuff on the floor because I don't have a tray handy. And these are nice because they're small. I used to use big cookie trays, old cookie trays, but they're so big and bulky, they get in the way. This is a great idea. And then he suggests, you can use a magnet underneath to hold things, and you think, well, what's the use of that? Moving things around here. Well, when you're working on your workbench like me, here's what happens. Usually you get a bunch of sawdust in it, don't you? And then you're trying to pick out stuff. There's a great place where you can use a magnet. You can pull the stuff out of there, get rid of all of the pieces that you need in there, and now you're left with a bunch of sawdust. You just throw that out and you're good to go. And this is just a great idea, having two different kinds. The clear one I use for different things. This is great because all of the pieces stand out in it. So that's a great idea. Thanks, Tim. This next tip is from Denny, and Denny suggests using plastic lids that you have laying around and making wooden inserts for them, and then of course you can put a T-nut on there, and you can end up with some really nice, he sent some pictures, he's got some really nice looking little knobs that he uses in his workshop. So I got my hole saw and I made some, but my hole saw didn't fit that one, so then I got other ones, and doesn't quite fit that one either. I think maybe if you have a lathe, it might be an easier job. I don't have a hole size that size. Maybe you could take your hole saw to the grocery store, then you could find the proper lids to fit your hole saw. This tip is from Graham, and Graham suggests marking your tool and marking your cord. Now here's where this comes in handy. Very often, like me, Graham has a variety of tools plugged into maybe a power bar, and you're only using one at a time, but when you need to go to unplug or replug something, you never know what tool you're unplugging. And it's a great idea. He's suggesting wrap your plug, either your plug or the end of your cord, in some kind of a colored tape. And you know what? There's all sorts of colored tapes now, electrical tape or whatever. So you put a wrap down around the bottom, and you put a wrap around the top as well, and then you know what the color of the tool is that you're unplugging. So you look at the top of the tool, and it's red, you know that the plug is red as well. So you're unplugging, in this case, the router. That's a great idea. I've tried to use labels in the past, but they always come off. I think like these colored electrical tapes or other tapes that stay on there firmly, I think that's a great idea. Thanks, Graham. I'm going to do that. This tip comes from Doug. And Doug, like many of us, lives in a colder part of the country, and in the wintertime it freezes. And of course, we all need to keep our glues and our paints and stains and all that stuff from freezing. And what Doug has done, he's gone out and found an old upright freezer. And of course, we can get these things for free. They give them away. You can find them sometimes on the side of the road. And what he's done, he's taken into a shop and he's adapted it with something called a goldenrod. And all this requires is drilling a little hole in the side that you can insert this in, because it's a long tube affair that is a heating element, and it just gives off a little bit of heat so that in his case it keeps the frost away, keeps things warm enough inside the freezer that the glues and paints don't dry. Typically what people use these goldenrods for, hunters use them in their metal cabinets to keep the guns from accumulating any kind of rust. Mechanics use them in their metal toolboxes because it also stops the tools from rusting because of the cold and how they can attract rust. So it's a great idea, Doug. Easy to do, and the golden rods are not that expensive, and it would save you rebuying all those glues and paints after they freeze up and then they don't work properly. So good tip. Thanks, Doug. Well, that concludes my video for today. Before I go, I want to thank everybody who's been sending in tips to me. You know, I seem to get like 1 or 2 every day. And you know, there's some great ideas. I just can't believe the flow that just keeps coming, all these tips and ideas from everybody. And if you haven't already subscribed, you may want to do that. And don't forget to click the little notification bell so that you'll be included in all of these tips and tricks that come out. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.